This is chapter 4, section 1, number 19. So we want to sketch a graph. Now, it says the graph. It should be a graph because there's multiple answers. Everyone's graph will probably look different. It's continuous from 1 to 4, so no holes, jumps, or gaps, and including the endpoints 1 and 4. And it has certain properties. The derivative is 0 at 1 and 2. There's an absolute maximum at 4. Ooh, I need to fix my lines. I'm going outside. So the derivative is 0 at 1 and 2. There's an absolute maximum at 4 and an absolute minimum at 0 and a local minimum. A local is the same as a relative minimum at 2. So I need a number line. That is beautiful. Okay, let's take care of one thing at a time. Let's look at what's happening at 0. At 0? No. Let's look at, what's our domain again? 0 to 4. Let's look at what's happening. I can do that. Let's look at 0. It says there's an absolute minimum at 0. I don't know where it's going to be, but at 0, I'm going to put a dot as far down as I can on my screen. That's going to be my minimum value. So let's get rid of that. Absolute minimum at 0. We're done with that. F has a local minimum at 2. So let's look at 2. Two things are happening at 2. At 2, we have a local minimum, and at 2, the derivative is 0. So at 2, I don't know where it is. I'm just going to pick that. You could have picked anywhere, but it's going to be a local min, and the derivative is 0. It's got to be like that. Why that? Because that's a local min, and the tangent line has a slope of 0. I need a nice curve like that to get a slope of 0. So that takes care of the derivative is 0 at that point, and we have a local minimum at 2. Let's keep going. I have an absolute maximum at 4. So at 4, I'm going to just put a point way up here. That's going to be my biggest point on my graph. So the absolute max and absolute min occur at the endpoints. So I took care of that. I have one more thing. At 1, the derivative is 0. But it's neither a relative max or min, or is it? Does it tell us? So I'm just going to pick a point here. The slope's got to be 0 there. Now, you might be bothered by what I'm about to do, but let me draw. Does that meet all of my conditions? Let me erase everything. Your graph doesn't have to look like that. Is the derivative 0 at 1? Look, at 1, the slope of the tangent line looks like 0. That's taken care of. Is it 0 at 2? At 2, yeah, we look good on that. Do you have an absolute maximum at 4? Yep, that's the biggest point. Does it have an absolute minimum at 0? Yep, that's the lowest point. And do you have a local minimum at 2? Yes, that is the local minimum, relative minimum. So that meets all the conditions. Don't be bothered that I have a local maximum at 1. Did it tell me it does not have a local maximum at 1? Since it doesn't tell me, I'm allowed to have anything else between as long as it doesn't go against what's given. So that is number